Okay, so let's talk about this Tuchel situation, right? I think last time that we recorded, he hadn't played a game yet. I mean, we hadn't played a game yet, and we gave our thoughts on it. It's been, 5 games so far? He's undefeated. 4 wins, 1 draw, couple a win in the
it's been 6 games, 1-5, drew 1.
Drew 1, and but the other win was in the
FA.
But how I've been very impressed by Tuchel. 2 things. He's changed the system and he's changed the personnel, right? And as the coach, when you see like something is not working, he just flipped the whole thing upside down. Like he just saw a team that was like, okay, this Chelsea team is lacking. Tactically, we were a problem. Like you were saying, Ibn, it seemed like our attacking football was very slow under Lampard. It seemed like we were just passing them. It hasn't. I wouldn't say it has taken off since Tuchel have taken over, but defensively, we are very secure as well. But he's changed the personnel now. Alonso is playing games. He's playing. Aspilicueta is back to being an essential player for us right now. Hudson-Odoi is like the best winger in the league right now. The way that he's playing, he's changed so many players that were on the fringes. Rudiger is now his preferred center back choice with
German connection.
But but it seems like he has changed so much that we're playing a different formation. The personnel is different, and nobody's job is safe. He's going to play the player depending on how well you play. Everybody is going to get a chance to impress the coach. I did not even think I knew he was going to give everybody a chance, and then today he changes the goalkeeper, and I was like, okay, all hands on deck. Like nobody is safe on this team. He's trying to figure out who is good enough for him and who is going to not be good enough, I guess. The problem I had with Lampard is he seemed to favor a set type of players. Like the players that he signed, he kind of seemed to wanted him to play, and like I was complaining about
price tag or something.
Yeah, like I was complaining about how much Havertz, he used to play Havertz everywhere just to fit him in the formation and all that stuff. But now we haven't seen Ziyech, we haven't seen Havertz, we haven't seen Pulisic a lot. We haven't seen a lot of these players that Lampard favored. So even like, what has impressed you so far about Tuchel right now? One thing I will say though is the new coach syndrome is still effective. When a new coach comes, everybody, like you saw with Ole when Ole first came in.
I was going to make that point.
Exactly, that happens everywhere.
15 games.
The same thing. Was like United is back. That thing that always haunts them. The same thing with
until we played our PSG and then
once again.
But until like Jose Mourinho, the same thing. Spurs were flying when he first came, right? So I'm not getting carried away, and I don't think we should get carried away as of yet. But let's take it as like what have you been so impressed even about how he has been coaching so far?
So I think the last time we spoke, I was not too sure about his tactics, and I wasn't too sure about his man management skills. But looking at the 5-6 games that he's been in charge, I think he's done okay. I wouldn't overrate him because, again, as Ziyaga's point, and to the point that you made also, it may seem that there's new coach syndrome that the team currently has, trying to impress it. Everybody's on audition right now, trying to impress it being the first team going forward. So I honestly think that for now, if I had to rate him on the scale of 1 to 10, or let's just be more simple, 1 to 5, I'll give him a 3. A 3 because I think the team, again, itself, under Lampard was performing well the season before. And this season, again, as we said before, Lampard just had too much options and didn't know how to put it together. And I feel like with time, Lampard would have basically put things together, although that was not what people really saw.
Do we? Because the reason why I don't believe that is because it's not like if Tuchel had came in and played the same formation and the same players and then started getting results, then we could have said, well, if we had kept Lampard, things would have came back. He has changed everything about the team. Right? We cannot guarantee that if Lampard was still in charge, we would be winning these games.
Well,
I can't guarantee that.
We cannot also guarantee that if Tuchel was the first team coach before Lampard's appointment, we would have been the street.
Okay, but he wasn't. He wasn't. We saw.
So again, so he wasn't the coach.
But Lampard was the coach.
Correct.
And we saw how Lampard was playing.
Exactly.
Chelsea were just going down.
Mm-hmm. So Lampard was
the coach. The argument.
Correct. Lampard was a coach. We saw how he was playing. However, I felt like over time, because I said before, he had too many options. He didn't know how to put it together. I just believe that when Frank Lampard first started at Chelsea, where he had a limited squad, he kind of knew what he was doing, in contrast to his second spell, where he had too many options and didn't know what he was doing. Yeah. So I feel like that's what caused his downfall. And if he should have gotten the time to probably next season, maybe he would have been performing like this. We don't know.
No, but even next season.
We don't know.
Okay, Amen. Okay, I'm about to say something, and I think you would actually take your point back.
Mm-hmm.
You said we wouldn't know. He was still playing your guy, Pulisic. And you had a problem with Pulisic, right?
Oh, yeah. I had a problem with him.
Why was he still playing all the time?
Listen, I had a problem with Pulisic because I feel like some games that is crucial. Like, he didn't become the X factor that I needed him to be.
Exactly.
Like, that was my beef with him all the time.
Didn't see that? And that goes back to the point Jeff made.
Listen,
he's trying to play the players he signed.
Correct.
To foul whatever it is.
Correct. He probably noticed all of this, right?
Exactly.
And he's aware of his weakness because
so he caused his own downfall.
Which I agree with. But
exactly.
I'm not. So what I think you're not understanding is this. I think although he was aware of his downfall, right? Time wasn't on the side. Time didn't really favor him to basically make his correction.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of this conversation that we have.
And Lampard knows Chelsea so well.
No, but do you honestly believe that? Because we have to remember, guys, Lampard has 1 year as a manager. Do you honestly believe that he would have changed things the way that Tuchel has? Because that's why I was saying that. I do not think that this success is based on, it was already going to happen. This is just, I think we have seen that Tuchel has changed the formation and he has changed the personnel. And that's when the results are coming. And that's something that Lampard wasn't going to do.
Because we think he wasn't going to do because we know that he was the coach at the moment. And the point I'm trying to make is if a new coach comes into a team, right, everybody's trying to impress. So right now, I can't really quantify this as to be, is it the system that is working or is it that players want to impress to be the first team player or first team choice?
I mean,
that's the point right now. We don't know. So let's find out after the United game. Let's find out after the Atletico game. Let's find out after those two crucial games, okay? To see if it's just about showing up to impress or play for the team. Because I feel like if Lampard was still the head coach of Chelsea, clearly this transition wouldn't have been spoken about at this point in this season. Wherever we were before, we would still have been there. Or probably even worse. However, if the season should have continued and ended and possibly gone into next season under Frank Lampard, then there might have been different expectations or different style of approach for playing football going forward.
Do you know why? Because, and Yaga, before you go, Eben, this is Chelsea Football Club, right? And Chelsea needs Champions League because of the amount of money that they spend. It's not just because, we're a big club, so we can... We need Champions League money. We cannot risk having Lampard there and missing out on Champions League. Because
don't you think Lampard's aware of that?
Huh?
Don't you think Lampard's aware of
Chelsea? Yes, and that's why
you guys are going to make the Champions League.
Yes, and then let him go. We cannot afford to risk having him there and not making Champions League because the money that teams are bringing in are not the same as they were. And Chelsea basically loaned themselves $220 million, thinking that if they qualify for Champions League, they could recoup that back. Some of that back. If they don't make it, we're in a big financial problem, and that's why they fired him. Right?
Of course, that's part of the reasons why he got fired.
But we cannot risk keeping Lampard
and giving him time
and finishing sixth and hoping that we finish sixth, but we're hoping that next year we'll do better. We cannot risk that.
Okay, so when Lampard, we can prolong this conversation on and on, but when Lampard was winning games back-to-back in Champions League, before the group stage ended, why weren't we talking about that?
Talking
Because
about what?
you guys were playing well.
So that's the point I'm trying to make. We were playing well then because he kind of had something figured out at the moment. However, when things started turning left and he didn't really have things figured out, me personally, I mean, the whole second thing, I told you I'm indifferent about it. Mm-hmm. But if we're going to be comparing him versus Tuchel right now in terms of tactics, I see the difference. Yes, I agree with it. I see the big difference. I'm not going to.
What you're saying?
Yeah, I see the difference.
Do you think it was a mistake to have
I don't think
Tuchel?
As I said before, I'm indifferent about Frank Lampard's decision. Firing decision. Mm-hmm. It being a mistake hiring Tuchel. This is Chelsea Football Club. We revolve coaches like we have coaches going in and out like a revolving door.
So you're not sold on him? Yeah.
I'm not fully convinced yet. No, I'm not. Why? Because as I said, I'm not convinced yet because I honestly, although we might be playing beautiful football, some players have stepped up. Some players, when given the chance, are playing to the high pedigree that they could play at. I'm still not fully impressed yet. Reason being is that I think most players are now performing as
yes, we agree. Yeah.
And I just want to see what's going to happen in the long run when we do play bigger games such as like the United, the Atleticos.
Yes, and it's true. We haven't played, I think outside of Spurs, we haven't played a big, I guess, a top 10 or top 8 team or whatever yet, which is true. But the reason I was asking you is, if you think that you have not been impressed, do you think that what Tuchel has done is the reason why we are top 4 right now? Or do you think that it's just that the players are just playing harder because it's a new manager? And eventually when the players, because from what you're saying, if the players get used to the coach and everything,
they're going to go back to the same way.
They're going to go back down. And Tuchel will make a difference.
I feel like it's a combination of both players and Tuchel's decisions at this moment. Again, it's time is going to tell if it's definitely Tuchel or it's just the player syndrome. Right now, I'm just not going to let it like slide because we're winning games. I'm not fully convinced yet. I need to be fully persuaded.
And you have every right. You have every right to feel that way because, of course, every coach that comes in, it's always a coach, a new coach syndrome, whatever going on. The players try to impress and all that. You can make arguments for different coaches as well, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at Sam Allardyce, he went to West Brom, and when they sacked, what's his name?
Billy.
When they sacked Belichick, they've not won games, so you can't make the same argument. I get what you're saying. Mm-hmm. This guy came in. You guys haven't considered a goal.
Yeah, we have one.
It would have been different if you playing, lower teams and then probably concede, maybe score 3, you concede a goal. He's changed the whole defensive setup. Okay, now Lampard didn't have faith in your own Kepa. Mm-hmm. Before this game started today, you know what he said? Mendy is not injured or anything. You know what he said? He said he wants him to build something mentally, but then he feels like Kepa played the FA Cup. He was in good form, so he felt like, listen, let's continue with our run. So just in case any issue, we have both keepers ready. The mentality alone should tell you that this is a whole different keeper. Lampard was not going to make that decision today. Yes. So now, you know what has happened to Kepa now? He feels like, listen, I can compete with this guy. Mm-hmm. And now, because for some time, Mendy has been sluggish a little bit. I don't know if you guys know that. Yep. So now, Lampard would have never made that decision. The decision Tuchel made today. So what I can tell from Tuchel is basically he's a coach that, fine, when the players get to know him and they start going back to their normal whatever, he doesn't care who you are, you're going to sit on the bench. Wherever he feels like will replace you will come in. Lampard wasn't making these decisions. And he didn't, Lampard, you can't tell me he didn't have time.
I can argue that and say in the second spot, I feel like Lampard didn't do justice or had similar projects as Tuchel, because I feel like the first season Lampard was doing just exactly that. Like if he felt like this wasn't working, he would change it.
No, because you guys didn't even have anything to change.
I think when the team became bigger and the personalities became bigger,
you can imagine.
Lampard to handle.
Like these are big boy decisions and that's what I'm saying. I think we have to remember that Lampard doesn't have that kind of experience. We all knew that. Sure. So when it becomes big boy decisions that Tuchel is making, like I don't think Lampard has gotten there, and I think that's the difference that we're getting from it.
Exactly, which I'm not disagreeing.
No, I'm not saying you're disagreeing. I 1,000% agree that it could be a first like a new manager syndrome. But also, we cannot sit here and say that he hasn't done anything that has changed it.
I'm not gonna, as I said before, I'm not going to deny. I think I mentioned this before. I'm not going to deny.
I'm not trying to cut you, but look at it this way. I don't think a lot of coaches will come in and bench Chilwell over Alonso.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of coaches will do that. You know why? Because clearly, listen, Chilwell is better than Alonso. I'm not even going to argue.
Well, okay. Depending on where you play.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. So, but then what I'm trying to say, to see, how much did you guys spend on Chilwell?
50 million.
And sometimes when teams buy players like that, it's difficult for the coach and whoever coming in to bench that player. Like I can give you an example. United, for instance, Maguire. He's not good, but we can't still bench him because we feel like the price tag. Now, Solskjaer doesn't have that power to do that. And I believe if, let's say, Tuchel comes to United, he can do that.
Yes.
He can make that change. Solskjaer is not that bold enough.
Yeah.
The same over Lampard. He wasn't bold enough to make some decisions.
And to your point, right? We keep saying like Maguire and Lindelof isn't a good pairing. How do we know that Lindelof and Bailly is the pairing?
Exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. But because Solskjaer doesn't have the whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maguire.
Yeah.
So that's what is happening. But then Tuchel, listen, this guy's managed Neymar, he's managed Mbappe, he's managed Thiago Silva, he's managed all these big players before. So he knows how to go about it. And that's why I feel like fine, is a new period for him and all the players who try to, impress and all that. But I feel like if these players settle and feel like, okay, like Hudson-Odoi, if he feels like, listen, now I'm a favorite player, let me just calm down, bro, you're gonna lose your position.
Yes, and that's a good point because that's kind of the president that he has said, Eben, is that if you're not performing, you're going to be on the bench. The amount of competition, he has put in competition within the squad so much that when a player is on the field, he feels like I have to play at my utmost best or else the next game I'm not starting.
I'm not playing. Exactly.
And that kind of competition brings the best out of everybody. Even the goalkeeper, I was shocked when he benched Mendy today because I was like, wait, even the goalkeeper is auditioning. The goalkeeper that we thought like his job was done is auditioning. So everybody's job is on the line. I wouldn't be surprised if Thiago Silva comes back from injury and then he's like, nah, we good because Rudiger and Christensen are playing. I wouldn't be surprised.
Possible.
And I was telling you, when you guys signed him, I told you guys that he's the type of person that doesn't like people interfering with what he's doing. Mm-hmm. That's why he left PSG. He didn't leave PSG because he was performing below what was expected of him.
Yeah.
He just left because of a disagreement between him and the Saudi owners. That's why he left PSG. He's that type of guy. And that's why I feel like, listen, whatever it is, he's going to make it work. Listen, you guys have been playing, what's his name? Reece for some time now. Reece is a good player.
Yeah.
But you know what? He feels like your captain fixing the system.
Yeah.
So he comes in, boom, let me make this change. Kante didn't even start today. Is it because he's injured?
He hasn't started.
Exactly. How many coaches will bench Kante?
Yeah.
How many coaches will do that? So, you know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like he's the type of guy who wouldn't take any nonsense. He's going to play who he feels like deserves to play. If you're not playing well, boom, you're going back to the bench.
But the Eben's point is true. We will find out that is this
definitely
coach thing or is it thing. That is a fact because Conte fell out with the players after a whole season.
But then when he loses against Atletico or whatever, I don't think you can blame him for that.
Oh no.
He hasn't.
Atletico. He's just got a job.
Yeah.
So you can't really judge him based on that.
Actually, I think the schedule worked out really well for Chelsea that we're not playing the big teams yet. Like we're playing a very outside the Spurs team, which Spurs is even at this point. There's no difference between playing Spurs and playing Newcastle. It seems like the same.
Shambles, man.
Right. So I think the team that he's played has helped him build up the team, and it's kind of like the players are getting used to the system. They're still getting used to the system. You could tell like when they get there, they get confused a bit. But sure.
I'm thinking about Chelsea. You can win the next 50 games if you start drawing the other 5 games.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about Chelsea. Yeah. So with me, I don't really think, because of course he's not going to win every game.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Chelsea's the type of team that, listen, if you're winning and it gets to a point that you're not really winning, hey,
Yes, and also it's get to a point where he has to find a way to keep these players happy because there are a lot of players on big money that are not starting under him. So he has to find a way to still make them. I mean, he still has a lot of work to do. I mean, I'm not saying that, this is done. We're going to win the league next. I'm not saying that at all. But I still think the credit that he deserves is what he's done has changed our fortunes. I don't think if Lampard was still in charge, we would be doing as well because I don't think it was just a straightforward fix, Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, we'll see. Let's wrap this up with Leicester. And it's kind of like the Manchester City situation where we don't talk about these teams because we don't know anybody who's a fan of it. So it seems like we kind of like push them under the rug. But last year, Leicester were doing it. We were waiting for them to fall out of the top four. They did at the very end, mm-hmm. which, I mean, it happens. But this team has been very good for 2 years straight. I mean, this is a team that Brendan Rodgers and Yaga, we were talking about it. He's one of the most underrated coaches in the league where I think he's one of those guys where if he had a top team, he would be winning leagues with them, right? Definitely. So what do we think about Leicester, Yaga? Because it seems like this team is back again, but this time it might be different where they could definitely be in the top four.
I genuinely think Leicester is a top team in the Premier League. I think they can compete with anybody but City, right? I feel like when you about to play Leicester, I can't just say Chelsea's gonna win easily or United's gonna win easily or you know what I'm trying to say? It's a top team. So and I think all boils down to the manager because mm-hmm. the players he's using are just bare minimum players. They're not really world-class players, right? But then when they're playing as a team, they gel together. You know what I'm saying? They understand, each position. They play for each other, and it's just down to the manager's job. I think it's a top team. It's a good team. It's a quality team. So I feel like they don't get the credit they deserve, and I think it's high time people, give them their credit because they're really a good team. Very exciting team. Counter-attacking football. Mm-hmm. The defenders are just good. Every time they find a better defender. Yeah. When you got hit, they brought Fofana. They always find the right path of players. And I mean, who does that? The manager. It's because who do you know of Fofana? Who do you know of him?
I didn't know.
Out of nowhere. And he's playing like he's a veteran. He's playing like he's been playing for like.
It's gonna be a classic Leicester story where he's gonna be sold for like 100 million.
He's gonna be sold for
just like every other Leicester player that.
Hopefully, United get him.
Yeah, they develop.
The funny thing when he gets to United, he just become like.
Yeah, he will turn into Lindelof.
Down quick.
So, what do you think? I mean, last year, Leicester was one of those teams. So after the season went on, we was like, they're gonna fall off, and it kept going, and then because Chelsea and United were chasing them, and we thought that those two teams would catch them, and we didn't catch them until the last day of the season. What makes this year different, or is it one of those things where eventually we're gonna catch them because there are still some big boys chasing after them? Because they're still, if you look at it, Liverpool is still outside the top four. Chelsea's fighting for the top four. United might be also fighting for the top four, right? Should we? I don't know if we should count out West Ham, but let's keep with these three teams.
You can't count out West Ham. Just count them out.
So
Leicester United.
So if Leicester, United, Liverpool, Chelsea are fighting for those three places that are left behind Man City, like, do they have enough in them to like finish the top four, or are they the odd ones out? Because you know why I'm asking? I still believe that United will finish top four, and I think Chelsea is ascending. And
we are going to finish top four. Stop playing with me.
No, and I also think Liverpool will find a way to start winning games, right? So
I don't see that.
Are Leicester the last man out?
I think Liverpool is out. I don't think what's going on in Liverpool. I don't think so.
So I think United will finish top four, but Liverpool won't.
Liverpool won't.
All right, yeah. So that's our episode. I think there's a lot. Every time we record something, we give an updated top 4. It seems like it changes every single time. And I'm sure the next time we record, it's going to change again.
This is very weird.
I know it's a very weird season. The league is gone, but it seems the top 4 is the only interesting thing happening right now. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's our episode from Yaga, from Eben, myself. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, comment, tell us what you guys think, and thank you guys for watching. Peace.
Adios. Bye.